everyone, I'm going to make a Halloween table runner. Yes, I have made runners before on my channel, various kinds, but I'm going to try a different style technique. I've never tried it before, kind of an experiment. And yes, it's July, but I thought if I started it now, I'm making it for a friend, she might actually get it by Halloween. So stick around, we'll see how this goes. I am going to try and do this runner Kawandi style with my sewing machine. Now, before everyone jumps down my throat about it, Kawandi is done by hand. I know. So, don't go off on me. The Marvelous City Ladies in India, I'll put the spelling up on the screen. They do a fantastic job of this. They use old saris and scrap and whatever, and they sit together and sew this by hand. My pitiful efforts here are not going to be anywhere close to how amazing the work is that those ladies do. So I will find a few videos for you. I know one, I gotta find it and put it in the description box, but I'll see what I can do. Otherwise, look it up. For this technique, you start with your backing. This is a 23-inch square. I have pressed over ½ inch. I'm gonna repress it with some starch just to make sure it all stays flat. It can be a ½ inch if you want. I just went with a ½ inch. And I did use my seam guide to make sure I was pretty accurate all the way around. In order to do this method, you start putting pieces around the edge because you have a good edge here after having it turned over. I put some starch along this edge because I'm going to go around. You'll see as we go. I have a piece of fabric, scrap, that has turned under edges on 3 sides, and you guys can see that okay. I will do closer with my phone shortly. Line it up along the edge. This is your raw edge down here. I wasn't sure which way I was gonna sew it this way. I might unfold this part. We'll see. You really only need 2 to start, but I didn't know which way I wanted to put it, so that's why I folded all 3 down. So let me get to my phone and I'll show you closer up. I started sewing on my pieces. You can see there my stitching line. It's like top stitch, and I actually have it going both directions just to hold the corner down. Now I'm going to sew in this direction along the edge of the skeleton fabric, and you see down at the end of it, it's turned under down there. This fabric is not turned under here, so I'm tucking it underneath. But this side is folded over to match the edge. And this side is folded over because when I get to the next one, I'm going to tuck it underneath that one and keep on going. And that's pretty much how you do the whole thing. So I'll sew a few more and show you what it looks like. I am getting down to the next corner. So I have a piece here, raw edge tucked under here, folded edge lined up along the edge. And all I'm going to do for this edge here is fold it up and finger press it in place to match the edge of the backing, that's going this way. Makes sense, right? Pretty easy. And now I'm going down the other side, and this edge is folded under. So you just carry on like that until you get back around to where you started. I'm back around to the beginning now. This piece here that I started with did have a raw edge right there. I tucked it under, did a fold. This piece here has the raw edge. So I'm going to line it up. I've got a couple clips holding it. I'm going to slide it in there like so. Put the folded edge over top and just give it a little press to hold it in spot. Like so. Then I'm going to sew along and join up to where I sewed before. After you have all the pieces sewn around the outside, you have this. Now is where you tuck the batting underneath all of it, or whatever you happen to be using. Fleece, flannel, an old towel, microfiber sheet. The idea for these Kawandis is to be light because of the ladies in India doing it. It's warm there, but I'm going to use batting because I'm making it a runner and I want it to be somewhat sturdy. So you pretty much lay on whatever you're going to use and just tuck it in. It takes some finagling, obviously, because you've got pieces everywhere, but get it in the best you can and get it all tidy, and then put all your pieces over top. I'm starting to put quilting lines in this now that all of the pieces are top stitched, anchored down. You can see better on the white. I put orange thread into the top of my machine. This is still 40 weight, and all I did was run the edge of my foot along here, so that's about 1/2 inch. I might stick with that. I might make them wider. I'm really not sure at this point because it's kind of supposed to be organic, this method. And then once I get over far enough and we're getting too close to here, there's another piece that's got to go in here, but we'll get to that later on. When it's time to start putting the other pieces in, you just have to be cognizant of where your raw edges are or not. So this piece I want to situate about here. And because that's a raw edge, I did a fold on this edge here. And this is raw edge here, so I folded this edge. But this I left because I'm tucking it under there, and that's the fold. So it's fine like this. This does have a fold here, just so it could go over there and look okay. And this already has a folded edge. So once I sew that all down, this is all tucked in. There's nice, tight, good edges all the way around, and everything looks fine. I'm working on getting more of the other pieces placed, pinning them down, and I'm working some lines of stitching. But I did take this out to the dining room table, and I'm using my friend's machine because of the walking foot. It's just a touch easier. Some lines I'm just going down the line. Sometimes I went all the way around and did the whole thing. It doesn't really matter as long as it's stitched down, and so far I'm happy with the orange on the top. Maybe I'll change it later on, maybe I won't. We'll see. Right now I'm going to do a line of quilting that goes all the way around the whole project. So far doing this method is not too bad. It's easier than I thought it was going to be. I just have to be careful about where my squares are going and what I have folded over and what I can leave as a raw edge and tuck under something else, or sometimes I put a square directly over the top of things, or whatever. It can be all mishmash for this. That's kind of the idea, really, I think. I'm not an expert by any means, but like usual, I've watched a number of videos and kind of followed along what other people have done, and then figured things out for myself as I go, because I have done some boo-boos and tried to sew and went, oh shoot, that's not right, and then fixed it. You know how things go, right? Just carry along. Here's a different view for you. Oops, just a minute, I gotta take that pin out. Come here, you. There we go. I sort of hold everything down and keep it flat as I go and just sew a little bit at a time. And just take pins out as I go because I want everything to stay concise and tight, kind of, you know what I mean? Not flapping all over the place. And if your line doesn't go perfectly straight, that's okay. If I was doing this by hand, the original and real method, nothing would be really that straight. I mean, sure, the ladies in India do a much better job than I would, but I know myself. It would just be what it would be. I'm going to stop just before I get up to a previously stitched line here and pivot right about like like so. I think that looks pretty good. Maybe one more stitch. There, okay. So some of my quilting lines are close together and some are not, and it's all good. Okay. And even though I'm using a walking foot, it has puckered slightly when I've got down here. Using a bunch of different pieces, it's kind of hard to make it all super flat and not fold a little bit, but it's minor. Whatever. Once I wash it, I'm sure it'll be fine. And it's so minor, you're not really even going to be able to tell. Excuse me. Not that this runner is that big, but still. Okay. I probably have enough pieces on here that I can actually do 2 rounds of quilting entirely around this project. A few times I have done just a line down one side or whatever, as I have enough pieces on. But I spent a bit of time last night pinning and getting some ready, so I don't know if you guys can see this coming along. I'll stop the video here now because it's getting a bit boring for you probably. I think you get the idea. Since I have been sewing with my friend's machine out on the dining room table, my son's cat thinks my sewing chair is pretty comfy. Good kitty, Maylis. Good kitty. The last part is a bit of a struggle. I came back to my machine. It's not too bad. Learning curve and fun. But I've going around the last little bit in a spiral. Some of it I just went all the way around. Some I did just lines this way or some this way. I've also gone around some of the pieces and just went around it just to make sure they were all edges tacked down. It's not perfect. There's some bumps there. It's okay. It just rises up a little bit. I'm going to wash it and it'll crinkle up nice, and I'm sure my friend will like it. Not the end of the world. And this is not a walking foot, but I think it's going to do the job relatively well. I'm just going to go along carefully here because there really is not a heck of a lot left. I'll just get down to my turning point here, which is going to be right there, like along the edge of that white spider web. So I'm going to go down here and tuck that edge down. Sometimes it works out, sometimes I have to do extra lines of stitching. And there we are, all done. Washed up, I pressed it a bit. Did get a bit crooked on one side, not quite sure why. I think it looks cute enough though. I think my friend will like it. Thanks for sticking with me.